Hi, everybody. Welcome again to this wonderful midweek episode of the iPark Talk Show. We are happy to have you guys here. We're going to be here for maximum of an hour, then we'll call it quit. Just a reminder, we have our usual shows on Sundays, and we try to do one midweek, Wednesdays or Thursdays. So if you can please follow us and try to watch some of our videos, and more importantly, please subscribe, like, and share. That will go a long way to help our channel grow and spread our message. Today, we have another wonderful topic, and I hope we're going to have some insight that will be helpful to a lot of people who are watching. And if you are willing, you can send in your comments in the form of questions or just comments, and we can read them during the show. Or if you want to come online and share your thoughts, you are more than welcome to. So that would be a pleasure as well. I'm not sure what's is something ringing.
I think I was getting a call or something.
Yeah. Okay. So the topic of today is what are the marriage myths that prevent single people from getting married? Quite a bit. And I think when I think of this topic, I don't want us to focus on the downside. No, the usual struggles of marriage. I mean, those are things that everybody expects, right? But there are certain things that people think marriage is that is not really what marriage is, and then that's what we want to explore. Any thoughts about a few of those things?
Marriage and relationships,
Yeah,
we would, kind of talk on kind of on both.
right.
But I think many people are staying single because of the misconceptions. I think lots of misconceptions about what marriage is or what relationships are supposed to be,
Yeah.
and again, some of these conceptions or misconceptions are based on the things that we've heard and seen around us. There are certain, I'll call it myths, about what to expect in marriage, how marriage should be like. Sometimes what we see going on with people who are married around us is a whole lot different from what beliefs and imaginations of marriage should or relationships should look like. And because of that, we get people get deterred, and that's why you see um, young girls and boys, young men and women stay too long to get married,
Yeah.
or get too old, and eventually may not even get married, because again, there are lots of girls and men out here who are 40 plus, 50 plus, who are not thinking about marriage again. Not, I
Right.
don't think it's because they don't want to. It's just because what their expectations are, or what they're thinking about marriage isn't necessarily materializing for them,
Right.
right? And so we want to talk about some of those
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 things.
myths and
Yeah.
some of those beliefs that people have
Yeah.
about marriage and relationships that are preventing them from getting into serious relationships and eventually becoming married, right?
Finding their forever after. But okay, this is not to say that they are not legitimate challenges in marriage. They are, of course, struggles, and every married person will tell you that marriage is not easy. So I think we're not going to focus on those struggles because those are self-evident, I think. But we'll try to focus on the myth. Do you have a couple of myths? And I have a list here, and you could maybe if you want to go first.
Maybe we just pick one, talk about it, pick the
Yeah.
next. For me, I think one of the things that I definitely believe is a myth is the saying that you should follow your heart, because again, we all know that
Yeah.
hearts are not reasonable. It's not a reasonable part of us.
No. Yeah.
There's usually no logic when it comes to following your heart.
Yeah.
When it comes to love, I think people need to follow their head
Their
a
head.
lot more than their heart, because your head is a
Head
little bit
over
more
heart.
logical. It's a
Yeah.
little bit more critical of your situation and the situation around you, right? Again, we've heard this saying a lot, that all that glitters is not gold. That is your head telling you. Your
Yeah.
heart will tell you because it's glittering, it's certainly gold. So
Right.
again, I think the whole idea of following your heart is what is keeping
Yeah.
people away from, either from getting into serious relationships or, getting married. Um, um, Again, they say love is blind. Well, that's your heart telling you the love
That,
is
that,
blind.
that's
Your
your
head
heart telling you.
will tell you that you need to open your eyes and look pretty
Right.
well about about your situation and what you should be doing, right? Because again, if we were to follow our hearts, we would only go for the
Right.
things that are glittering, that are simple. And that is
Mm-hmm.
why people who follow your hair, most of the time, like, you end up in relationships that are really not good for you, right?
Yeah.
And again,
Yeah.
because you're in a bad relationship, there's no way you can convince yourself that marriage is something for you, right? But if you were using your head and, like they say, you must calculate, you're calculating the circumstances in which you are. It's easier to see a man. Again, you're talking about girls. It's easier to see a man and critically look at him, not just at his looks, because again, some girls are looking for the handsome. They have to be really handsome. Some girls, not just their financial means, because again, some girls are only looking for, what it is that this man
Right.
can do for me, right?
Yeah.
But again, you're not using your head and telling yourself, hey, I am 35 years old, I better start bringing
Lowering
down
my
my
standards.
standards. I
Yeah.
better start taking the men that come to me a little more seriously than I do. I better start considering these men. They are not the most well-looking men, but there's
Yeah.
something, right?
It's
So
something.
when you
Yeah.
start following your head, then you're able to think about those
Let's think
things.
about that.
If you
Yeah.
if you you're focusing on your heart, then you're looking for Prince Charming, as they call it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Prince Charming is nowhere to be found, because
And
now you're probably plus you're 35 plus. The
right.
kind of men who are coming to you are not Prince Charming, right? Because
No.
Prince Charming are looking for girls who are much younger than yourself, probably
Mm.
much beautiful than you,
Yeah.
right? So when you start thinking taking following your head as opposed to your heart, your chances of finding a man or a woman, your chances of making a decision to commit
Yeah.
to marriage or to a relationship is a lot higher.
No.
So
No.
yeah,
No.
definitely, I think the myth that you should follow your heart is not the right one for young people growing up and people who want to be in serious relationships, because your heart limits you.
Right.
I think it's limiting. When you
It's
follow your heart, it limits your chances. It limits the people you
yeah.
are open to talking to. It limits the people you want to be friends with. It limits the people. It limits even the environment you want to be around.
Well.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you don't want to go to country meeting because you think, hey, Prince Charming is nowhere to be found. It like that.
Yeah. I
Okay.
like
Yeah.
that.
So
Oh, what
so you
about
don't go.
contribution? Yeah.
So yeah,
It's a
I
local
think
man.
that is definitely a myth that most I think most of the young
Yeah.
people I talk to
Yeah.
are definitely dealing with.
Yeah. Well, I certainly agree with that. So, brains over heart, logic over emotions. But how much can we expect people to put aside their feelings and focus only on logic?
Again,
It seems to me that is easier said than done.
the argument isn't keep your heart
Anyway,
completely
yeah,
outside. Your
they
heart
have
should
some
not
logic.
be the primary decision
Driving
maker when it
force.
comes to you
Right.
deciding on a marriage or on a relationship. Your head should be the primary focus. Again, you want to have some sort of an emotional connection
Yeah.
to the person first. There has to be. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be any
Yeah.
emotional connection. There
Hmm.
has to be a certain level of attraction, affection to some individual, and then you use your head now to decide on the 90% of the other things
Yeah.
which are
Yeah.
also as equally important,
Yeah.
right? Than just
Yeah.
how you feel about this person. So the argument isn't leave your heart aside
Yeah.
and focus on your head or your brains or logic or reason. Your heart should at least be
Play a
speaking when
role.
you meet
Yeah.
when you meet this person. It has to definitely play a role.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
argument I'm making, right?
That's a very good argument. But yeah, again, we can still see the challenges there.
It's easier said than done,
Easier
and
said
that's
than
why most
done.
that's why most people who are following their hearts and are nowhere to be found in relationships,
Yeah.
they are single somewhere,
Somewhere.
still wanting someone who would have their heart skip when they see them.
Yeah.
It's not happening. That's why you're 45 and you're still single.
Well, and it's no doubt that married in cultures where you have arranged marriages, they stay longer. They're longer married because it is not just the heart deciding; it is more of the logic where the family sits together and see
Hmm.
that there's some level of compatibility. So that's brain over heart. So you can make a very good argument that using your brain has a long way to go. But there's an old adage that people usually say one of the most difficult people to advise is a woman in love
Yes.
or a man who has money. So
Hmm.
I definitely agree with you that it's easier said than done.
Because it's all emotions. A
It's
woman
all
who thinks a woman in love is all emotions and no brains.
right.
The
Yeah.
the last thing that they do is do any logical, critical thinking about
Yeah.
anything about the man that they're in love with.
Can you
It's just love.
imagine?
That's it.
Can you imagine if everyone got married to their high school sweethearts? My goodness, what a terrible society we'll have. Oh, divorces. You imagine all the love people felt in high school, and they felt they were gonna be tied together forever. People even make pacts
Hmm.
because that your emotion was the principal riding force at that time.
Exactly.
And then people grow up. You grow up and you go to universities, and then the older people start taking your girlfriend, and then the reality starts to hit it. Well,
Hmm.
that's fair. Okay, I'll give you one, and then you can tell me what you think. There's
Hmm.
also a thing that you should figure yourself out until you get married. You know, and when people say that, they also mean that figure yourself out in terms of who you are, in terms of your finances, in terms of your maturity level, figure your religious level, basically figure everything about your being before you get into a relationship. That's a myth that I thought of, that came to mind. And it always bugs me when someone say you have to know yourself. Like, even people who are 50 years in marriage
And
are
still
still trying to know
knowing
themselves.
yourself, right?
Yeah. Even people who are 100 years old and have been married for 70 years are still, in some ways, trying to figure yourself. So if you're waiting for you to completely know yourself, which is a very ambiguous statement, what does it mean to
Mhm.
completely know yourself
Know
in the
yourself,
first
right?
place? And what exactly are we talking about? It's also one of those myths. I think you should have some level of self confidence and self awareness, and what you like, what you don't like. But I don't think you have to completely figure everything out to be able to commit yourself to somebody. And I don't think marriage is the end all and be all of figuring yourself out. It's not like when you suddenly marry, you stop figuring yourself out. There are people who have changed careers after they got married. There are people who have traveled, taken different paths in life from what they had anticipated before after they got married. There are people who were career focused, and they're like, you know what, I would like to be a stay-at-home mom. Or in rare cases, I'd like to be a stay-at-home dad. So the act that you have to figure everything out and have an answer to everything before you jump into a committed relationship is just a myth to me, and it's something that is unfortunately quite common, but I don't think, and I think it's a serious deterrent. You know, I mean, if you haven't figured yourself out at 35 years old, 45 years old, when are you going to figure yourself out? And also, is there an end in figuring yourself out in this lifetime? I deal with a lot of older people. They are 90 something, 100 years old. They're still figuring themselves out in different ways. They are still new first. They are still new adventures that they haven't, they're still trying to embark on. So, yeah, that's one myth I thought about.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree because figuring yourself out gets you a place where you are inflexible.
Yeah,
Because again, that's what that means. Like you are not open to change. Because
right.
again, I think growing up and getting older and getting to know people requires you to change. Either you're changing your thought process, you're changing your
Correct.
perspective. Some people are changing your habits.
Yeah,
People are changing how they relate to others. Again, I think it's figuring yourself out is a whole process.
it's a whole person. Yeah,
Secondly, if you say you have to figure yourself out first, it means anyone who approaches you, you expect them to have figured
Figure
themselves
themselves
out,
out. Yeah.
right? And if everybody is constantly figuring themselves out, it means you definitely are never going to get into a relationship. If all you think about is, I need to figure myself out, I need to,
Yeah.
it's impracticable. You can't do
Yeah.
that. I
Don't
think
you think that's
what
yeah.
you need to know is, you need to know where you're coming from. You
Right.
need to know where you are, your current circumstances. You need to have an
Yeah,
idea
now
of where you
yeah,
want to
where you
be
wanna
in
go.
the future,
Yeah.
right? That's all you need.
Yeah.
Things don't have to be figured out, because nobody. I mean, I'm really old.
Yeah.
I
There are a
haven't
lot of
figured
things you're still
a
figuring out.
lot of things to figure out. And the thing
Right.
is, as you know, as you grow old, as you become a little bit more responsible, you are forced to make changes. You are
Right.
forced to constantly. I did not know that I would ever be a father of three kids.
Me
Right?
too.
So how do you figure that out? How do you
Yeah.
figure the future out? I think
Right.
that is a really serious problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you fix? How do you plan around all that? How do you
Yeah.
figure it out? How
Yeah.
do you figure out someone else? Because again, you're merely telling yourself that you're not only figuring out yourself, you're figuring out the person that you're wanting to be in a relationship with,
Right. Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
an impossible thing to do.
Yeah.
So I think if a young person, boy or girl, or older person who isn't getting married because they are trying to figure themselves out, I can guarantee you that
Yeah.
you probably die and never know, never be able to figure yourself
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
it takes
Well, it takes forever, and
it takes forever.
sometimes
Yeah,
I think sometimes that's just code for that they are not really into that person. You know, I'm a firm believer that marriage is more about timing than it's really about the right person. You know, it's when you feel yourself that you're ready to make that commitment to someone, then you can make that marriage. It's not like, oh, I have to find the right person, which is another myth that we're going to talk
another myth,
about.
right? Right.
That we're going to talk about. But I think it's when people are at a certain stage in their life that they feel like they can commit to one person, they can build a family one person. That's when they can get married. Not necessarily that you have to find that needle in a haystack, that
Hmm.
one person created from all eternity, specifically designed
It's
for
for
you.
you. No,
Yeah. So,
but
I mean,
again,
you can have an idea.
at what age do you react? Do you give up, saying,
Yeah.
"Okay, I haven't
Right.
figured myself out. Maybe I might just get into a relationship and see how it goes."
Right.
At
Yeah.
what age do you stop figuring yourself out? If by 30 you still are not sure that you've figured yourself out,
Yeah.
what do you do next? Do you keep trying to figure yourself out? Or do you say, I've done as much as I can do? I would get into a relationship, I
Yeah.
would get married, and then see how marriage
Right.
goes. I think if you have the mindset that everything has to be perfect, you have to be figured out,
Right.
your partner would have figured themselves out, then nothing would happen. That's why people get married when they are in school. They
Yeah.
haven't figured themselves out.
Yes, they haven't
People
figured
get
themselves
married
out.
even before they even find a career for themselves,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
People get married before they even know what marriage is.
Yeah.
I know people who are married at 19, 20 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, at 19,
What do you really know?
what do you even know about yourself?
Right.
And again,
Yeah.
those marriages don't necessarily fail. Those
No.
marriages are
Yeah. There are
most
some that
often
many
successful,
thrive. Yeah.
because again, it's the intention. Once you decide that I am getting into a relationship, that intention, and then the commitment to the other party. Because again, it's not about, like we said, not about hard commitment. Once you commit to someone,
Right.
you can build from
You
there.
can
You
be
can figure yourself. Both of you can figure yourselves out as
out
you
in
go,
the context
or
of the
as you
marriage.
stay
Yeah.
in that relationship, right?
Yeah.
So don't.
I think it's just code for you. They're not really into the person, or they want to leave the relationship, or they want to explore other options. Because
Or they are
yeah,
not ready to be married.
or they are not ready to marry. Yeah. Okay. Another one, and we kind of hinted at this already. You have to find your soulmate. You have to find the one who was created before the world was created for you specifically. The one who is the rib of your rib, the bone of your bone, the flesh of your flesh. The one who is supposed to make your butterflies fly to like such BS that we watch for movies and we read on magazines and you see on social media posts. My goodness.
Very, very real.
When and it isn't hello? Hello. Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, can you hear me?
I see a blank screen. It's for some reason I think it's frozen or something. I'm not sure.
Okay, I can hear you, but I don't know. Okay, can you hear me now?
I'm good. It's supposed to be okay. I can hear you. Can't see you, but I think I can hear you.
You can hear me? Okay.
Yeah. Can you see me?
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, I can see. I can see you. It's frozen a little bit, but yeah, I can see you.
Okay. Maybe we go on.
Can
I
you?
think somebody's playing in
Yeah.
my
Can you?
internet.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me though?
I can hear you. So yeah,
Yeah, I'll
let's
just go on. Hopefully, we'll
yeah.
get the images back. But yeah, my goodness, all the stupid stuff of that you have to find the bone of your bone, the rib of your rib, your missing rib, that perfect fit that has to fit you perfectly. Imagine putting such pressure on people, another human being. I can see you. Can you see me?
No, I can't. So probably it's on me. Just keep going. Let's
Yeah.
just have the conversation. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So imagine putting such pressure on another human being to be able to be that missing piece, that to complete you, to be the person who makes you fully whole. That for me, when I hear people talk that way about marriage, I just know you guys are immature. I think people have to have a certain level of confidence and independence. You also need some level of interdependence on your spouse, but you need to be able to be some sort of your person in your own right,
Mhm.
and not waiting for another person to come and complete you, to come and be the missing rib that you have been looking for. So I know there are biblical roots for that, but it has completely been changed to what the mean. Today, I think what people mean by missing rib is someone who's supposed to just make you feel love. It's not supposed to bring you any stress. It's not supposed to bring you any difficulty. That you're supposed to complement your life at all people and at all times, and it's just supposed to be all bed of roses. Do you see hear me? Hello? Yeah.
Ah, some
I see you. I can hear you. I don't know why you can't see me.
um
I'll take it out. Yeah. Yeah.
can you imagine the number of men who would approach a girl and the girl would not feel anything because again they are wanting to follow their heart, right? They want Mr. Right, they want Mr. Perfect. There's no one out there, like just like you said, no one out there that's cut for you, solely for you. I don't think there's anyone out there. Any man, again, with the number of women that are out here, any man could match 100 women, right?
Yeah.
So there's no specific man for any specific woman. Again, that's the belief I have.
Yeah. So, and I hate to tell people, if you didn't marry your wife or your husband, someone else would have married them. Stop thinking that you were the end or be all for them. If you could not marry them, or some reason you guys separated, they will still move on with their life, and they will still find someone else to marry. So yeah, we'll try to bring him back on again. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Having some technical difficulties. Yeah, can you hear me now?
You know what?
Yeah, maybe it's your internet. Can you go on that? Is it
I think I fixed it. Hopefully,
okay?
yeah. I think I can see you now.
You
For
can
some reason, yeah, just the internet is crazy.
you can see me. You're still a little frozen on my side,
Yeah,
but I can hear you.
Okay, let's carry on.
Yeah,
Sorry
yeah,
about
yeah.
that, guys.
Sorry.
That's
Yeah. Again, yeah. It's there's no one person. I was just saying, if you didn't get married to your wife or your husband, they could have still possibly gotten married to someone else and still be happy. So stop thinking that you are the one who brought happiness into someone's life, or more importantly, stop thinking that you are the one who's going to complete someone else's life. You know, because people can still make it work in other relationship when one relationship fails. There are people who have been married, who have been divorced and married, and still have successful marriage. So yeah, the myth of you're missing rib is not a real thing for me. Good.
yep.
Yeah.
I Yeah, definitely agree. I definitely agree with that. It's
Do you have another myth?
because again, no, I just wanted to add because usually the thought is, you're always good, especially for girls. They're always thinking, oh, they will meet a man who is much more, they're always anticipating that they will meet someone
Right.
better, right? They would meet someone better. They would meet someone who's more compatible.
Yeah.
They would meet someone who's more loving. They would meet someone who's richer. They would meet someone, who's more,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Always think that someone
I,
better is
yeah.
on the way for them. And before you know it, they are old, and this someone it's not
Yeah.
materializing, right? So I think, again, if you're a girl or a boy and you're following your head, you get to a point where you have to start thinking about, hey, really, is there really someone made
For
specifically for
me,
me?
yeah.
And if at all, how do you know who they
How
are?
do you know who they are?
How do
Yeah.
you know who they
Yeah.
are? I mean, unless you want to say you would, like, you would study, you want to start studying girls and reading them like a book. I don't know how you know that this is my soulmate. Is
Yeah.
it how you feel?
Yeah.
And is it on the first meeting?
Yeah.
Is it 1 year in a relationship that
Yeah.
you've begin to figure out, oh, this is not the one for
Yeah.
me? So, how do you even know
Yeah.
that the person you're talking with isn't the one for you?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no It's not like there's a
There's
book
no.
where you go say,
Yeah.
okay, my name is Asong, so my soulmate is going to be
Yeah.
Frida born somewhere here and
Right.
there, and then you go look.
Right.
How do you know whether they are
I
white or black or
and
Mexican or
yeah.
green or blue? How do you know,
Yeah,
right?
and that just lends more argument to what I said earlier, that marriage is really more about the timing rather than the person. You know, if you find yourself, maybe let's say you're in Cameroon and you're living in the far north and you come down and you're ready to get married, you're 30, 32, and you're ready to get married and in the southwest, most likely you come across more southwesterner girls, and you can consider marrying them if you're abroad and stuff and you meet somebody, your chances of marrying somebody that is not from your countries are higher. But yeah, that someone is specifically cut for you, it's a big myth. It's a big myth. And that's not to say people don't have legitimate issues. I mean, you should not be in a domestic abusive in an abusive relationship and you still stay. You should certainly get out of that. You cannot be in a relationship and someone who's financially irresponsible and you stay. No, we're not suggesting that one bit. But um, at the end of the day, if you're a man, you're gonna marry a woman, and they have their woman ways. Same way a woman is gonna marry a man, and we have our manly ways. It's the reason why when women say they can complain about their husband, and they seem to have something in common. All the husbands seem to have something, and men can complain about your wives, and all the wives seem to have something in common because at the end of the day, you married a woman. You did not marry an alien or another man or a monkey or something. They have their ways that they do things, and marriage is learning to deal with those women ways. The same way women have to learn how to deal with many manly ways that we come into it. Right?
Imagine someone who said they had uh, figure out themselves to get in a relationship and realize that their partner's attitudes and behaviors is requiring them to make
Oh
significant
yeah,
changes,
yeah.
right? How does a man like that function in a relationship if they are so rigid and so inflexible that they can't change from what they think they know
Right.
because they have figured themselves out. Now you better go figure yourself out
Right.
before we see
Right.
if this relationship is going to
Yeah.
work, right? But I definitely know that there's always a give and take. I am continuing to figure myself out
In
in
a
this
relationship,
relationship while
right?
you are doing the same, right? While
Yeah.
you are doing the same.
Yeah.
It's not you don't get into a
I would,
relationship and it
yeah.
stays static.
I'd like to pick up on a point by Guang Derek, one of our favorite listeners. I'm not sure where he is, but he should come on one time. He says there are some checks to look at in relationships before saying yes, I do, and that is a very valid point. I mean, we are not in no way, shape, or form trying to suggest that you should just get married to the first person that you feel like you have a connection with. Of course, there are things that you have to do on checks and balance. What we are saying is do not take it to the next extreme that you have to figure yourself out completely before you commit yourself in a relationship. And do not take it to the other extreme that you're going to tolerate any BS from the other person just because you want to say I do. Of course, there are certain things that you have to agree on.
Mhm,
For me, I think you should agree on religion, you should agree on finances, you should agree on maybe your in-laws. Those are the things that they say people
mhm,
should agree on, how you want to deal with your in-laws,
mhm,
how you want to raise children. Those are pretty
mhm.
important things that you guys have to figure out, you know. If marrying a girl from your village is very important to you, that's something that you have to figure out before you
Yeah,
say I do,
yeah.
you know.
I think values.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most times when you meet someone, you want to figure. I think the first things you want to know if you want to be serious or interested is what their
Right.
values are, and then to see how those values align with
With
yours, right?
yes, right.
Another easy way of determining that is figuring out what visions they have for the future, and that's why when you go to marry a woman, the parents ask you,
What do you do?
where, what are your
Yeah.
visions, what are your
Right.
plans for my daughter. Again, it needs to
It
match,
needs to
right?
match.
There
Yeah.
has to be. Those are some of the things that really easy things to figure
Yeah.
out. Some of the things that you need to, you need to pay, like, again, like you said, if marrying a girl from your village is a priority for you.
Yeah.
Again, that is
That's
that is
something very
that is
important that
fine.
you have to do. Yeah.
Then now you have to put yourself in situations or positions where you meet people from
Yeah.
that side of you,
Yeah.
right? And so it's definitely things that you can easily
Right.
figure out. We are not saying that you shouldn't. We are just
Yeah.
saying that don't
It's a balance. I
don't
think that's yeah. Yeah.
don't try don't about them and not like two things about them.
Oh,
That too could be fine,
it's frozen again.
right? So it's just definitely. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just definitely, figuring out their values and,
Yeah.
you know determining whether or not you two can have a
Yeah.
future
Yeah.
together, right?
And
Which
and and I also say
makes sense.
and I also say those values should not be a laundry list. It should be maybe five, six important things. I also have a problem with people who think that all of their lists have to be met before they get married. Yeah, that's not realistic. Okay. I think we've already talked about that. Do you have another myth?
I,
I think,
I think another
yeah,
another myth, another thing too, is people um grow up thinking or wanting marriage or relationships to be easy.
yeah, right.
The
It's
relationships are
supposed,
not easy. It's not a
yeah.
bed of
I mean, think
roses.
of it. Think it's not. Just think of it. You grew up in the same house with your brother and sister, and you guys still have arguments. You still have a different worldview. Then think about going to take another person who grew up in another household, possibly in another town or another village with a different culture or in another country, and then you want to have alignment in every single thing. You want to. By the way, is it even interesting if you have a spouse that agrees with you with every damn thing? I don't think it adds some challenge and spice. It doesn't help you grow if everybody agrees with everything that you do. It doesn't challenge your assumptions. It doesn't challenge your preconceived notions about what marriage is. And there should be some give and take, of course, in a respectful way. Some friendly rubbing of shoulders. Some figuring out what uniquely works for you guys. You, I see there. Yeah, I can't seem to get it.
Can you still hear me? Hello?
Yeah, you're breaking there.
Constantly working on the relationship. You have
Yeah,
to be open to be vulnerable. You
yeah,
have to agreement if you have to, right? To have conflicts, because again, what
yeah.
builds you is conflict. The conflicts that you get definitely builds that relationship.
Yeah. I can't seem to get. Asan seems to. I don't know what's wrong with his internet today. He is keeps breaking. Keeps breaking. Yeah, so we are just, hopefully he joins again. We are just talking about the myth about marriage that prevents single people from getting married. And this is not to dismiss all the challenges that people face in marriage. There are legitimate challenges that people face in marriages. I think single people should be wary of these challenges and take every measure to be able to, reduce the occurrence of such challenges in marriage. Today, we are simply discussing the myth, like things that people think marriage is supposed to be, but what marriage is not really like, and try to see if we're going to help a few people. So, what are those myths? And you can put in the comment section. What are those myths that you think are deterrents for single people getting married? Already, we have talked about figuring yourself out. The other, you have to figure yourself out completely before you get married. We talked about the fact that you have the myth of the missing rib, that someone has to be your soulmate, the bone of your bone, the flesh of your flesh, created from beginning of time to be your soul companion throughout this life. I don't think that's true. Because if you don't marry the person you admire, they will probably admire someone else and life will still go on. Uh, we talked about, still in the line of myth of your soulmate, and that we're not contradicting ourselves. We're trying to make sure we're not contradicting ourselves. So we're saying you should find a balance. You should get, you should value the things that are valuable to you. Take account of the things that are important to you. If marrying from the same culture, from the same village is important to you, you have to make that known. Is religion is very important for you. How you raise children, how to deal with in-laws. Is those things are important to you? Yeah, you should have your non-negotiables, but there are other things that you can negotiate on. There are other things that you can be flexible on. Okay. I'll just go and read the comment sections, and I'll discuss why I'll try to bring us on back. This internet has been wonky today. So, way to be this life, way in America easy. Yeah, marriage is not easy. Marriage will be boring without disagreement. That's well said, Patrick. Because why would you want someone to agree with you all the time? I'm just thinking, you want someone to be able to give an alternative opinion, look at a particular issue from a different point of view, then you guys discuss and come to a consensus. That way I find it more effective. Then it forces you guys to become a team player. But that people only have to look at you and agree with everything that you say. That's an immature outlook at life. There's no one way to look at things. I mean, we can have a particular issue and we can be looking at it from different point of views, from varying experiences, from what we think we can get out of that particular idea or item we're looking at. So, yeah, you should not think that you're gonna have someone completely agree with you. Let me try to bring us in again. Welcome, Faniche. Welcome, Pasi. Uh, Lewe LC, Guangdek, Immigration Guide. No, no, be Immigration Guide. Um, oh, um, Michelle. Welcome, Michelle. Is it better now?
I don't know. I'm here. I
You
don't
know,
know
you know, you
what.
know, you know, put credit for your phone.
No, no, I'm not sure what's happening. If it
Yeah.
is the phone or internet, man. But it's yeah, it's what it is. It's unfortunate,
Okay.
but it's
Yeah,
what
that's
it is.
okay. Okay, let's move
Mhm.
on.
Yeah.
Another myth that I would like to bring and let's discuss is that you have to have everybody agree on your decision to marry a particular person. So in this case, I'm thinking your mom has to agree, your dad has to agree, the other your in-laws have to agree, the aunts, the uncles, the cousins, the blah blah blah. In fact, everybody to agree that you made the right choice. My goodness, if you want to put everybody on board, in fact, let's say you're just a people pleaser and you think everybody has to say, "Wow, this guy or this girl has made the right choice." You're never going to make any decision in this life if you want to get everybody on board. At a certain point in time, you have to make a decision. Sometimes those decisions are not the things that your parents want for you. Sometimes they're not the things that your siblings, your dear uncle, your grandma want for you. But at a certain point, you have to make a decision. So the thinking that you have to get everybody to see reason and agree that you have made the right choice or the wrong choice in certain cases, it's not going to happen. You have to make certain decisions and you have to risk, because you have to make certain decisions. You have to risk offending people, even people that are very dear to you. You know,
I think marriage, a decision to get married or marriage is not a democracy.
yeah,
It's not a situation where you want people to support or you want everybody to agree or you want everybody to be on the same page. No.
yeah,
Again, it's having the same kind of expectation that, oh, everybody must like you, because again, it's
right,
almost the same type of thing.
yeah,
There's no way everybody can like the person you're wanting to get married to. There's no
yeah,
way everybody can be comfortable with the situation in which you're in. Some people will say, oh, you're still in school, why are you getting married?
yeah.
Other people will say, oh, you haven't even had a job, why are you
How you
getting
get
married?
married? Yeah,
So if you want to listen, make this a democracy and listen to every opinion
yeah.
that is
My goodness.
thrown at you, you're never going to get married,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
if everybody cannot be in
Everybody
agreement.
cannot
They
agree.
are either not liking the tribe. You'll say, oh, Bangwa man, why you
Yeah,
marry Bayangi? Or they say,
yeah,
oh, Bayangi man, why you go marry for this side?
yeah,
Or they start saying, oh, why you marry white man? Or why you
yeah.
marry blue person? Or why you marry green person? Like, people have opinions.
People have
And
opinions.
if
Yeah,
you want to listen to and accommodate every opinion, it will be difficult. Even the opinions of people you care about
yeah. Even the
sometimes
opinion.
shouldn't count.
Yeah, even the
Shouldn't
opinion of
count.
your company. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
You
just
it has to
yeah.
be you first before anybody else.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think the opinions of people that dear to you are important too. I mean, you
I
should not
mean, they
discard the
are
opinion of your.
important, but
Yeah,
again,
but they are not. Yeah, you
it's not
cannot
a
depend
democracy.
on them.
Yeah?
It's not a democracy, that's for sure. And for you, even choosing a person, you have to risk offending other people. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm sure there are other people that would have loved to marry the particular girl, particular boy, but they choose another person. That way, you're indirectly offending people. So it's very discriminatory process, because by the very fact that you're picking one person, you are discriminating against everyone
Everybody
else.
else. Right.
So you have to be willing to offend people and to be able to live with the consequences of that.
Mhm.
Yeah, get the ones that you can get, but like you have said astutely, it's not a democracy. You have to live with that person. And this,
And
and this
what I
is
know,
very common. This is very common for people who are naturally people pleasing people. Using a lot of people there. Very common for uh,
people
people who are
pleasers.
people pleasers. Yeah, you want to get everybody, you want to have some level of social harmony, you want to have some level of agreement, or you'll never get that. So yeah, that's one myth.
I and I think usually sometimes when that decision is made and people realize, your family members or your friends realize that this is a decision that they
They
all,
are,
most of them, they come around.
they come
Most of
around.
them would come around
Right.
and would be happy with you with for the decisions that you've made.
Right.
Some might not come around. That's fine too.
Yeah, that's fine.
Like
Yeah.
all of them don't have to be on the same, like you said, don't have to be on the same
They
page.
don't have to.
I don't have to like every member of your family. You
Yeah.
those you don't have to like every member of my family. As long as me and
Yeah.
you are in agreement about
Yeah.
that and are willing
Um,
to, work with the people who are supporting and are interested in our relationship,
yeah.
that is good to go.
Yeah. 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 And he has said a very good point too. Sometimes even the couple could have differences in opinion about the decision, but still move on. I mean, yeah. Well, that's another important point. You don't have to agree with your wife all the time. You don't have to agree with your husband all the time. Like,
I feel like if you two are agreeing on every little thing,
yeah,
then I think that there's a bigger problem
there's a
there
bigger
than for people
problem.
who
Yeah.
are disagreeing. Because
Yeah.
two human beings from two backgrounds, from two environments, from cannot agree on every little thing. Brothers
No.
don't agree on every little thing. Sisters don't agree on every little thing. How come you think you and
You.
someone you met would
Yeah.
agree on every little thing? If you start agreeing on everything, they said there's certainly a problem.
Yeah.
That's my
Uh,
opinion. Definitely,
yeah.
certainly a problem with that,
Problem.
right?
Yeah. Another myth. Do you have another? Do you want to go, or do you want me to give you one of the
Go
last
ahead.
ones?
This thing just threw me
I
off.
think
Go ahead.
the marriage is expensive, and I'm not talking about the marriage itself. I'm thinking about the wedding and everything. You can go to court and literally marry for one hundred the amount you spend on an entire wedding. You can go to church as long as you meet the requirement, and the marriage is almost free. You know, every other thing, the reception, the party, the planning, the videography, the photo shoot, so essentially everything that you have on the wedding days and on the wedding day and everything leading up to that day, they are good for memories, but they are not really important for the marriage, you know. And so these are the things that make the marriage, the wedding, more expensive, and then it deters a lot of people, and they think that they have to have $1 million in the bank. But literally, you can go to the courthouse. You can go to have just two witnesses, your friend, her friends. That's it, the sign and go. You can go to church as long as you meet the requirements, and you have just your witness and the girl's witness and maybe your parents and stuff like that, and that's it. But the other extra things, are important. People, it's a big day, hopefully once in a lifetime, and you want to make it memorable. Fair enough. But yeah, those things for me are really extras.
But again, in Ghana, I believe it's how people, especially people in the West, how we grow up. It's like, oh, there has to be a wide wedding. There has to be
Right.
10 bridesmaids. There have to
Yeah.
be 15 groomsmen. You have to dress in white. She needs a gown. They need a big
Yeah.
hall. You have to feed, and you have to feed 500 people.
Yeah.
You don't have to do all that.
You
You
don't have
don't
to.
have to.
Yeah.
That is what makes marriages expensive. That
Huh?
the
All
act
those
of
things.
getting
Yeah.
married,
Yeah.
the ceremonies. That is what make, like you said, you can go to to do the council if you are back in Cameroon or here. I don't know where
Yeah.
they will
To court.
register and
You
just
can
go
even
get
go
a
to some. Yeah.
marriage certificate.
Yeah. You can go to how do they call them? Notary. Is it a notary? Commissioner of oath.
and,
And just do it
and get
there.
married.
See, we did it at someone's house. That's it. And it's still a marriage. And you can go to
10,
church and
20
just,
people.
yeah, not even 10. You can do it with 4 people. You go to church and just have your people. That's it.
It's not the ceremony and the number of people you invite
Right.
that makes that's very solemn, important event in your life, in a marriage. No,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not. It's not the number of people. It's not how much money you spend, because again, people
No.
come and they go and they say, "Chai, master, I drink now only one beer,"
I
or
know.
there was not enough food, or they're like, "How now only 20 people there for the wedding," or
Yeah.
"How now only 100 people come," right?
Yeah.
Those are myths in our head that we need to start doing away with. All because again, if you want to have the right amount of money to feed the right amount of people, to make the best wedding, to take people to the best
Yeah.
halls, trust me, a lot of people are not getting married just because they feel like they are not financially ready for
Yeah.
marriage.
Yeah.
But there is nothing, it has nothing to do with finances.
Yeah.
It's just about commitment.
Yeah.
Once the two of you commit and you agree to a small wedding
Right.
or a small whatever you want to call it, that should work.
That should
At
work.
the end of the day, when you say you're married, people don't ask you, hey, how many people did you bring? No,
Yeah. Yeah.
that is not the question people start asking, right? So you need to get that out of your head. It's more, it's you too, as opposed to the ceremony and the number of people you fed
Right.
on your wedding day.
Plus, plus, then you put an enormous amount of pressure on your shoulders even before you begin life. The
Mhm.
people who get married and get into debt, 30,000,
Yes.
40,000, $50,000 debt, just for a 1 day event. Then you start your life with negative 50,000, negative 40,000 on a liability, complete liability. That is done. All you have is memories of that
Mhm.
day. That's it. And in my brain, I cannot justify people going into debt just for 1 day to have that other people come and drink and celebrate with you. Yeah, those
That
are
is,
really like unnecessary things in my
I
mind.
mean, if you're able to
You
afford
are
it,
fine, yeah,
if you've worked and earned some money, or you have parents who are rich and they're willing to pay
to
for a wedding, why
subsidize,
not
right?
have
Yeah,
it?
why not?
But
Yeah,
what
yeah,
we're saying is, it should not be, finances should not be the reason why you're not married. Like
yeah,
financing a wedding should not be the reason why you're not married. If you have a partner
right.
and you two are committed and you feel like you love each other, you complement each other, go do a small wedding, go do a small
Go
thing,
there, yeah.
bring 10 people together, do it small. That is what is important.
You don't have to do the wedding like the Indian. Did you see the billionaire
Oh,
Indian guy
Jesus
who did it
Christ,
for
man.
his son? What's his name? I don't know. I had to Google the guy's name, and it's worth 117 billion.
Billion,
My
right,
goodness.
right.
So you
If you
have
have
to
if you have a dad with that kind of
money.
money, you can bring that.
Why
You
not?
can. That's where you
He
start
paid
bringing Bill Gates,
paid
and you start
Rihanna.
bringing
Yeah, he paid Rihanna
Rihanna,
nine
and you start
million.
inviting.
9 million.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I mean, for our level now, you start to say, okay, you need to bring loco, or you need to bring salitier, or you go need to
although
bring
yeah,
Charlotte
exactly
the
the point.
Panda for your wedding, for Spice and Up. That is not necessary, right?
Yeah,
It is certainly not necessary.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have another myth you want to go or
Mhm.
before we run up?
Yeah.
We
No,
can go
let's.
to the comment sections.
Yeah.
So I think this is for Larry LC. If everyone has to agree, you will wait till the kingdom come. Yeah, I think
That's
you
it.
said that.
Definitely.
Definitely. Fanny Chair. Fanny Treasures. Shout out to Fanny Treasures. She has some of the best achu and fufu and jama and soya in Calgary. She's wonderful. You can contact her for all your meal requests. If I need one, a free advert too. Sometimes even the couple could not agree. Yeah, oh, I already read that. Okay. Leray again, LC. Those are what we call unnecessary appendages.
Yes.
People prepare for the wedding and forget to prepare for the marriage proper.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's really
That is a
sad. It's
very
really sad.
solid point.
And
You
and
pay
you,
too much
yeah,
attention on the wedding that you forget that, oh, there's a whole life after
uh,
this wedding.
yeah. It's do you, people who are obsessed about the wedding, I always think like, there's some like, do you really like the person first? If you're really upset about having the best day, the perfect day to spend the most money, it seems to me that if you're really in love with that person, that should not matter. I mean, you should do it if you have the means, but you should not go beyond your means to be able to do that. I don't know. I'm always, and I might be wrong for that, but I'm always suspicious of people, and it's particularly for women. For them, they have to make a statement. They have to show the world that they are married to a good guy, a rich guy who has, or they have achieved a certain level of a certain social status that they have to display. So I'm usually suspicious of people who focus on that. And Guang Derek again, the 50-50 myth. I think we forgot that one. That's another good
Yes.
myth.
Yes.
That's another good myth. And I think, and maybe he can explain more. I hope I'll try to explain what I mean. That, if I pay the if we have a mortgage of $2,000, I have to pay 1,000. My wife has to pay the other 1,000. If I go grocery shopping, my wife has to pay 50-50. If my wife washes one plate, I have to wash the other plate. If she changes one diaper, I have to change the other diaper. My goodness, what a terrible, terrible situation that is. It just takes out the complementary nature of for which marriage is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are supposed to be polar opposites that complement each other in different ways. Gosh, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not married to a man. I don't know what to do with a newborn baby. My fingers are clumsy. I don't know. I'm not responsible to how they cry. I sleep through babies crying. Can you imagine if you have a wife
Who
who insists
expects
you expects me to have the maternal intuition, the social upbringing, the feminine energy to be able to cater for a child? My goodness, you cannot survive with someone that married. Or can you imagine a man who is expecting a woman to work as many hours as he's
as
working,
he?
or
Yeah.
and to friend and to think about investment and business ideology and stuff like that? My goodness, unless you marry to another man, you should not expect that from another woman. So this I think, and that's one thing I think marriage too is important. You should find someone that complements you, someone that you guys are polar opposites, and you guys can feed off each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you should agree on certain things. So we already said that you should
Mm-hmm.
agree on. You should have some values that you agree on, but gosh, you should that you should have an identical partner is another myth, which speaks to that
Yeah.
50-50 point. Go on there.
Another. I don't know how he looks at it. Another situation could be a woman who wants a man who would do everything for her.
Yeah,
As in, okay, yeah, I mean, because you hear a lot that marriages are half and half, and
right.
you're hesitant to get into one because you're not the kind of person who wants to spend your money
Yeah,
on someone else.
yeah,
So you're sitting there waiting for a man who's had enough that he can take care of himself and for you,
yeah.
right? So the 50-50 argument could be
In
could
both
be
ways.
could be seen in that way as well,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
people are sitting out, or a boy or a man is sitting out there thinking, hey, where do I find a woman? So
who will
how
pay
much
our
money do
fair
I
share?
have to
Yeah, wait.
find a woman who expects me to pay for everything, or to pay for everything, right?
Yeah,
And then they say, no, I'm not getting married because again, these women are requiring me to
yeah,
pay for. So
everything.
you could argue for the 50-50 thing could go both ways, where
Yeah,
people are either reluctant to get into marriage because they feel like the woman is expecting them to do everything, or you see people not getting into marriages because they feel like, oh, I have to provide half of what of expenses, or half of,
right.
so yeah, it definitely can go both ways.
You
But
can
again,
give me a break.
truly,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
myth that people can have, and it definitely would prevent you from seriously
yeah,
considering marriage,
yeah, yeah,
or
yeah,
seriously
yeah,
considering getting
yeah,
into a
yeah,
relationship.
yeah.
Definitely.
And do you think how miserable life is going to be if you have to keep a score of everything your partner does and you have to match it? You
The
know,
worry is, are you even able, even me myself, I'm not, most of the time I'm not even able to keep up with my expenses.
right?
Talk less of keeping up with my expenses and my wife's expenses. You know
Yeah,
how miserable that would be? You will
that would be
spend the
very bad.
rest of your life figuring
Settling
out
scores.
who's doing what,
Yeah,
who hasn't done. It would be a very miserable
miserable.
marriage.
And
That is 100%.
then instead of team playing, you guys are fighting against each other. It's
It
who
becomes a
outdid this,
competition.
who did this more, who changed more diapers, who cleaned the house today, who cooked yesterday, who paid this and that. It's a terrible life.
It's a
And
terrible thing.
yeah,
And I think
and
bigger problem for those who do not agree that men and women come to a marriage with different
differences.
roles, with
Yeah,
differences and different roles,
right.
right? If you are a man who thinks that you and your wife should play the same kind of role in a relationship, well, then you definitely probably want your wife to bring 50% of
Right.
the
Yeah.
expenses, right?
Right.
If you are a woman who thinks that you and your husband are equal, I don't see any reason why he wouldn't expect you to, okay, yeah, well, since we are
Yeah,
equal,
yeah.
why not bring
Bring the
50%
50-50. Yeah.
of the cost, right? So it just, I think, people's perception of what their role is in a marriage would probably
It's very
determine
important. Yeah.
whether they take the 50-50 thing seriously or
Yeah.
not.
I mean, it speaks to how, and I think me and you agree on this, how the feminists have changed the dynamics between men and women. Before, it used to be a complementary, and it still largely is for those who are invested in marriage. It's a complementary role where you have polar opposites in many aspects of their lives that complement each other, right? By the time you want to make everything 50-50, my goodness, that is a miserable way to live. It is not a business transaction. It is not a competition. You guys have to be on the same team. Yeah, okay. I think the comment from Fanny, pre-COVID, I was planning my church wedding. I chose a small hall. I was boldly approached by someone saying that the hall no go carry Calgary population. No.
As if
As,
you're planning a wedding for
yeah,
Calgary, right?
as
It's like,
and she says that as if I plan to invite the whole town. Right. So those are the expectations that I was saying. Like
as,
you're marrying for other people.
but the truth too, the truth, the thing I want to add to that is that people have expectations. People who know you are
Everybody has an
expecting to
agenda for
be
you.
part of that wedding.
Yeah.
Now, when you go, and that I think that is why people are hesitant to get, because again, who do you invite? I mean, take me for example. I know half of the city,
Right.
half of the Cameroonians in the city, which is more than 500 people.
More than 500 people.
If I
There's no
had to
way you
do a
can do a
wedding,
wedding without offending other people.
how do I accommodate 500
Yeah.
people?
You must
Who do
offend
I
some people.
invite and who doesn't? So it could. I see how it definitely
Hinder
could, you know,
people.
hinder a young man or a young woman from, because who do I bring to this wedding?
Yeah.
I can only accommodate 100 people. I know 500.
Yeah.
Who comes? Who stays?
Who
And
comes?
what will be my relationship with these people after the wedding?
Yeah.
Because trust me, after the wedding, those who were not invited might not talk to you when they meet you on the way.
Yeah.
Might
Yeah.
not talk to you, right?
Yeah.
So it's tricky.
Yeah.
It's definitely tricky. But again, you can't accommodate everyone. You can't satisfy everyone. Do you?
Yeah.
They call call your code according to your
Come to your
size. If you
size.
can
Yeah.
only accommodate 100
Do
people,
it.
that is what you should be doing.
Yeah.
100 people.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody says plan a destination wedding.
That's passive.
Go to
Passive.
the
You will not get
Caribbean
their kind of money.
and see
Don't get
how
their
many
kind of
people
money.
show up.
Well, it might be a good idea too. Then you screen a lot of people who will not make it, and a lot of people with legitimate reasons too will not make it, and and they have a good reason, and then you have a few serious people. That's it. Oh, he's gone again. Well, thank you guys for the conversation. I think that's it. We try to keep the weekday shows to an hour so that we can go help out with chores around the house and with the kids. Yeah, Fanija, you and Pasi will not plan destination wedding or private one safe. Thank you guys and have a wonderful day. We'll see you on Sunday. God bless.